Sometimes I'll hear or I'll learn something that I know is really important, but then it takes me a while to really understand it. And that's exactly what happened to me with a quote from Amos Tversky, a Nobel Prize winning psychologist, who said, "The secret to doing good research is to always be a little bit unemployed, and that you waste years by not being able to waste hours." We live in a world defined by hustle culture, work harder, be more productive, sleep less. And quotes like this go against the common narrative, and those are the ones that always catch my attention. So Amos says that we should always be a little bit underemployed. It's kind of a do less to do more attitude. So I want to explore this idea today in the context of the 40-hour work week and the history of it. So some history. Before 1900, the average American worker worked more than 60 hours a week. A standard schedule was 10-hour days, 6 days a week. And the only times they would really stop working are when it was too dark to see, or when you had to go to church. And people worked so hard that work-related deaths happened more than 30 times more often than they do today. But then in 1916, during World War I, American railroad union workers demanded an 8-hour workday. And that was largely because deaths and accidents were greatly reduced when people worked less than 40 hours a week. And with that, President Woodrow Wilson, the President of the United States at the time, and the United States Congress passed the Adamson Act, which gave workers an 8-hour workday and no more than 40 hours a week without overtime. And then in 1930, the 40-hour work week was standardized for all Americans across industries. But 80 years later, we still work on this exact same schedule, the 40-hour work week, which was originally designed for the endurance constraints of railroad workers. And then you begin to realize that, by and large, work has gone from being physically exhausting to mentally exhausting. I mean, we used to work with our hands, and now we work with our head. And if we're working now more with our head than ever, is the 40-hour work week, I mean, sitting at our desks from 8 or 9 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon, the most productive way to be spending our time? So creativity and the ability to think critically is becoming more and more important. And I believe there's 3 keys to creativity. There's bed, there's bath, and there's bus. Bed, which is going to sleep and letting your subconscious mind wander after a day of intense thinking. Bath, which is a metaphor for relaxation, and once again letting your mind wander. And bus, which is a metaphor for travel, for escaping your comfort zone and seeing the world with a fresh new lens. And creativity is key to doing work in the modern age. And we should be encouraging the behaviors that make us more creative, right? Especially if that work requires creativity. But most companies don't let us travel for maybe 2 or 3 weeks a year. We also have to be inside an office from 8 to 5, and there's not really much time to think or to be creative. So maybe it's time for us to rethink work hours and even the very idea of scheduled work for people whose work involves creativity, critical thinking, strategy, innovation, analysis, or any sort of non-repetitive task. So I guess the natural question here is, does this mean that we should work less? Well, not exactly, and let me explain. Because knowledge work and the work that creativity is actually born out of is born out of the convergence of work and play. You see, knowledge work never stops because we're always thinking about it. But also because of that, people who work with their minds need time to think. and to stir up those creative ideas that benefit from their time away from their desks. Walking, exercising, traveling, and just generally letting the mind wander in productive ways. If there's anything that you remember from today's episode, it's this. It's that time to think doesn't look like spreadsheets. It doesn't look like meetings, phone calls, or the laundry list of tasks that you have to do at your desk each and every day. It looks like walking, it looks like traveling, reading, and nurturing that innate curiosity that we have. So whether you're an entrepreneur, an artist, an academic, a consultant, or work in any field that demands creativity at the highest level, you have to ask, is the 40-hour work week bringing out the best in you?